Who would like to read first?
Yes, I may start.
Yeah, please, Suman.
Why can't people find their inner peace easily? The answer is that they can. Most people just are not instructed on how to. But beyond that, most people are actually too scared to go into their own feeling states because their inner child is too traumatized. Everyone has an inner child. It is the part of you that is most innocent and pure, and it never goes away. Over time, it is your responsibility for you to learn how to parent this inner child, who will honestly be the one to push you away from your inner peace. They will be the one to throw a tantrum and tell you that everything is falling apart and that you are going to die and that you should just give up. In the same way that you would not let a child run your waking life now. You can't always believe what your inner child is afraid of. You can, however, learn to work with them, heal them, and make them feel safe in the way any good parent would. Stephen Diamond explains it like this. To begin with, the inner child is real, not literally, nor physically, but figuratively, metaphorically real. It is like complexes in general, a psychological or phenomenological reality, and an extraordinarily powerful one at that. He argues that mental disorders and destructive behavior patterns are usually more or less related to unconscious part of ourselves and were most often adopted in early life. Finding your own peace. Finding inner peace is not always so much about just sitting in the lotus position until wisdom becomes you. It is about making the uncomfortable decision to stay with your discomfort and to choose differently. As Gail Branner explains, the inner war is perpetuated by resistance. That is, not wanting to feel the way we feel, not wanting to not wanting people to do what they are doing, not please scroll up. As Gail Branner explains, the inner war is perpetuated by resistance. That is, not wanting to feel the way we feel, not wanting people to do what they are doing, not wanting events to occur as they are occurring. Resistance wants to rewrite our personal histories and ensure that our plans materialize. She argues that inner peace is the only kind that exists because nothing else is in our control. Another really amazing way to find your inner peace is to constantly remind yourself that your worries are a fabrication of your mind's need to identify potential threats for survival. And true happiness is being here in the moment. It is, if that is hard to believe, make a list of the following. Everything you have intensely worried about in your life. Go back as many years as you can and be as detailed as you can. Every difficult situation you swore you would never get through or never get over. Every time you have genuinely felt happy and at a peace. Guaranteed, your responses to the first will bring a smile to your face, in that they will remind you that you have worried constantly in your life, and yet they were mostly unfounded. Your response to the second will also be relieving because it will show you just how much pain you thought was insurmountable in your life and how, in retrospect, you don't really ever think about those things anymore. Finally, your answers to the last question will remind you that your happiness has never come from things being perfect on the outside, but from you being present and open and connected to yourself and to the moment. Next is detaching from worrying. In the same way that it is easy to become addicted to substances or behaviors that allow us to avoid the present moment, worrying is chief among the coping mechanisms people use to distract themselves from what really matters. Over time, you convince yourself that worrying equals being safe. You think that by running worst case scenarios through your head again and again, and you will be better prepared for them. This is completely false. Not only are you draining your energy imagining situations that are very often completely manufactured, but when you are already hypersensitive to any one of these fears or ideas, you will actually create those circumstances simply out of your avoidance or over responsiveness to them. You have to remember that among all the things to know about the monkey mind, your head wants to constantly seek out situations and experiences that will affirm itself. If you believe something will be good, it will be. It might not look exactly how you imagine, but the outcome will be exactly what you expect. Finding your inner peace is just connecting to your deepest wisdom. It is not something you have to create, justify, imagine, or reach for. It is always within you. It is always an option, and it is constantly a choice. You just have to make it. Remembering that your feelings are not always facts. The most challenging part of all of this is arriving at a place where you can discern between which feelings are instinctive and informative and which are rooted in fear and ego. In a world that constantly tells you that your gut knows everything and that your feelings are real, and that if you reach in deep enough, you will uncover a well of wisdom that can guide you, it can be really easy to assume that every feeling and idea we have is not only real but is somehow forecasting what is going to happen in the future. Your feelings are not predictions. They are not fortune telling mechanisms. They are only reflecting back to you what your current state of mind is. It is like having a nightmare. The monsters are not real, but they could be metaphors for something you are worried about in your waking life. What holds so many people back from finding their inner peace is the fact that they can't tell the difference between which is correct, their fear or their peaceful feeling. Remember this, the feeling of peace is the one telling you the truth. Your feelings are not here to tell you what is going to happen. They are only here to inform you of where you are energetically and mentally and how you should respond to what happens around you. Fear is trying to scare you into staying small and keeping safe. It is mortal, limited thing. The feeling of peace is trying to remind you that everything will be okay because it always is and always will be, no matter what. Becoming mentally strong, no matter who you are or what your purpose is in life. Mental strength is going to be a key component in ensuring that you actualize all of the potential latent within you. Mental strength is not a fixed trait. It is not something we inherently have or don't. Ironically, It is not necessarily easier to have if you are not faced with many challenges in life. In fact, it is often people who are in the most difficult circumstances that are forced to develop the highest degrees of mental strength. Being mentally strong is a process and it is a practice. This is where you can begin. Get a plan because plans fix problems. Mentally strong people are planners. They think ahead, they prepare, they do what is best for the long term outcome. You might think that this disconnects them from the moment, but the opposite is true. Worrying disconnects you from the moment. Overthinking disconnects you from the moment. When you are consistently sidelined from your own anxiety, it is because you don't have a plan regarding the thing that is making you scared. Think about something that you are not scared of. Do you know why you are not scared of it? Because you have a plan for what you would do if it were to happen. So you are able to let go and be present. Whether it is becoming financially healthy, improving your relationships, going to therapy, getting a new job, or pursuing a new career path or dream, if you don't have a plan, you are going to keep having a problem. Humble yourself because it is not all about you. It seems like everyone is thinking about you, judging you, evaluating you, or determining your status in life. They are not. Social media has likened us all to mini celebrities in our own circles. We become convinced that everyone around us is disproportionately concerned with the minutiae of our lives. In a number of decades, you will be gone. Your home will be sold to a new family. Your job will be taken by someone else. Your kids will be adults. Your work will be done. This is not supposed to depress you. It is supposed to liberate you. Nobody is thinking about you in the way that you think they are thinking about you. They are mostly thinking of themselves. When you feel self conscious for going grocery shopping in your sweatpants, please know that nobody cares and nobody is looking. When you feel anxious about your accomplishments or lack thereof, please know that for the most part, nobody cares and nobody is looking. This is true of absolutely everything in life. Nobody is evaluating you the way you are evaluating you. They mostly take you at face value. Stop thinking that you are the sun that everyone revolves around. This world is not all about you. Your life is not even all about you. The more you can put aside your spotlight complex, the more you are going to be able to relax. Ask for help because you are not supposed to know everything. We live in a specialized society. People go to school, they apprentice and train to become very skilled at one task. Then they market and sell this task in exchange for purchasing other people's expertise. You are not supposed to know everything. You are not supposed to be a financial expert. That is why you can hire one to do your taxes or advise your investing. You are not supposed to be a master chef. That is why you can buy a cookbook or ask your mother for help. You are not supposed to be a world class trainer. That is why you can book an appointment with one and learn. You are not supposed to understand the complexities of mental health and neuropsychology. That is why you can visit with a psychotherapist and learn how to get better. You are not supposed to know everything. You are not supposed to be good at everything. This is why you have people whom you can hire or learn from. Cut yourself some slack or focus on what you are proficient in. Outsource everything else. Know what you don't know and stop false dichotomous thinking. The main reason that people sustain anxiety is due to long term thinking in either ors, otherwise known as false dichotomies. This is a cognitive distortion in which you eschew an entire field of possibilities in favor of one or two polarized outcomes, neither of which are likely or reasonable. If I lose my job, I am a failure. False. If this relationship ends, I'll never find love again. False. If this scary things happen, I won't be able to go on. False. Anxiety is caused by logic lapses where there is a breach in your reasoning skills. You jump from one event to an unlikely conclusion, and because it makes you feel something strongly, you assume it to be true. Ultimately, you start thinking in dichotomies, which are not only ineffective but also spook you so much that you are rendered incapable of actually handling your life. Yes, someone else wants to read?
Yes, I can.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Stop trying to be psychic because this is a cognitive distortion. Given that our most fundamental human fear is of the unknown, it makes sense that we go through mental gymnastics to try to predict certain outcomes in our lives. However, psychic thinking, or the idea that your feelings are pre emotions that you can just know what the future will hold, or that your fate is somewhere set in stone for you, makes you mentally weak. It places you in the passenger seat when you need to be the behind the wheel. When you are engaging in psychic thinking, you are extrapolating. You are taking a single feeling or experience and making a long term prediction about your life. It is not only false, it often becomes a self fulfilling prophecy. Stop trying to predict what you can't know and start putting your energy toward building what you can. You and your life will be better for it. Take responsibility for your outcomes. Yes, all of them. In the grand scheme of your life, the outcomes that really matter are the ones that are almost completely within your control. It's easier and less scary to pretend as though you are simply a cog in the wheel, but you are not. If you actually put your energy toward learning to be productive, taking care of your health and wellness, improving your relationships and self-awareness, you you had have a radically different life experience. Every single one of those things is within your ability to change or at least influence greatly. There are some things in life that are outside of your control. If you focus on them, you will miss something really important. The majority of your life is the direct result of your actions, behaviors, and choices. Learn how to feel better by processing complex emotions. You are not supposed to feel happy all the time. Trying to feel happy all the time is not the solution, it's the problem. Instead of the ability to sustain positivity at all times, mental strength requires that you develop the ability to process complex emotions such as grief, rage, sadness, anxiety, or fear. When you do not know how to allow these feelings to pass through you, how to make sense of them, learn from them, or simply just allow them, you get stuck on them. You bury them, and then everything around you becomes a trigger that threatens to unleash the floodgates. You might think it's about keeping a stiff upper lip, but it's not. It's about crying when life is sad, being angry in the face of injustice, and being determined to create a solution when a problem arises. That, responsi- that responsiveness instead of reactiveness defines mental strength. Forget what happened and focus how you will make it right. Reflect on what went wrong, learn from what went wrong, and figure out how you are either going to make up for it or change the outcome in the future. Then let it go. The only time you are going to really hold on to the past is when you haven't fully learned from the past. When you have, you can apply those lessons to the present moment and create what you wanted to experience then. Focusing on what happened disappropriately to what's happening now or what you want to happen in the future is what keeps you completely stuck. If you feel as though you truly failed yourself in some profound way, it becomes even more crucial that you move on and create the experience you desire now. Your life is not over. You did not fail indefinitely, but you will if you never let go and try again. Talk it out because things are often more complicated in your head. If you feel really tangled up in your thoughts, feelings, and fears, talk to someone, perhaps a mental health professional or a trusted friend. If nobody is around, talk to yourself. Talk out your idea as though you were speaking to someone else in front of you. Sometimes we need an objective third party to help us sort thought through complicated parts of life. Keeping it all buried in your head and heart often make it worse. Letting it out into the open tends to simplify the problem, release the emotion, and help you move on. Take your time because you don't need to figure everything out right now. Growth usually isn't a sweeping thing. It happens incrementally. It occurs in tiny bursts and small steps. This is because when we are growing, we are actually expanding and restricting our comfort zones. We are readjusting to a new way of life. And if we shock our systems with too much change too fast, we often revert back to what we knew. The most effective and healthy way to change your life is slowly. If you need instant gratification, make the goal the tiny step you take each day. Over time, momentum will build and you will realize that you are miles from where you started. Take triggers as signals because your wounds need your attention. Triggers are not random. They are showing you where you are either most wounded or primed for growth. If we can see these triggers as signal that are trying to help us put our attention toward some part of our lives that needs healing, health, and progress. We can begin to see them as helpful instead of hurtful. You cannot ignore your problems. You cannot disregard your wounds. These are issues that you will need to unpack, process, learn from, and adapt your behavior accordingly. This won't only make you mentally stronger, it will also give you a better quality of life overall. Honor your discomfort because it's trying to tell you something. The greatest gift that life will hand you is discomfort. Discomfort is not trying to punish you, it is just trying to show you where you are capable of more, deserving of better, able to change, or meant to greater than you have right now. In almost every case, it is simply informing you that there is more out there for you and it is pushing you to go pursue it. Instead of trying to pacify this discomfort, mental strength requires that you listen, learn, and begin to change your course. If you can begin to see your life as a feedback mechanism that is reflecting who you are with the ultimate goal to help you live better and more fully, all of a sudden you realize that it was never the word standing in your way, but your own mind. How to truly enjoy your life? If you were to ask, many people would undoubtedly agree that they believe the purpose of life is to enjoy it. However, so many people struggle to be present and actually experience their life as they are. The culprits are varied and can include everything from unrealistic expecting to trying too hard to feel good. It is, after all, something you have to allow. Uh, Anyone can please read?
Can I go ahead?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Good afternoon to all. When you're struggling, the most insulting and difficult thing that someone can tell you is to just relax or just enjoy yourself. When you are in survival mode, the last thing you can possibly think about is just sitting back and rolling with the punches. This is the most important part of learning how to enjoy your life again. When you are in a place of trauma and pain, you cannot try to force yourself to be happy. First, you have to step back into neutral. When you're struggling and you try to make yourself feel good, you're actually intensifying the polarity of your feelings. You are showing the bad feeling down in place of trying to feel something different. Ironically, many people who struggle emotionally are, at their core, people who actually just have a greater desire to enjoy life. Stop trying to be happy. Happiness is not something you can chase, it is something you have to allow. This likely will come as a surprise to many people as the world is so adamant about everything from positive psychology to motivational Pinterest boards. But happiness is not something you can coach yourself into. Happiness is your natural state. That means you will return to it on your own if you allow the other feelings you want to experience to come up, be felt, be processed, and not resisted. The less you resist your unhappiness, the happier you'll be. It is often just trying too hard to feel one certain way that sets us up for failure. Arrive into the present. There is saying that if you're anxious, it's because you're living in the future. And if you're depressed, it's because you're living in the past. When you are living in the present moment, you realize that both the past and future are just current illusions in the infinite, eternal now, and that there are actually ways in which you can avoid being in your body. The only place to find happiness is in the present because that's the only place it truly exists. Trying to find happiness by focusing on what could or might happen in the future is actually a process of disassociation. Practice arriving into today by focusing on taking life one day at a time and doing the most with what you have in front of you currently. There is a fine balance between living for the moment and taking care of your future self. Stop trying to assert dominance. In this book of on hygiene, the Danish art of coziness and well-being that many attributes to the nation's staggeringly high happiness rates, Meek Viking explains that connecting with others is not just spending time with them. It has to do with not trying to dominate, impress, or create an emotional reaction in someone. You find a lot more happiness by not trying to prove yourself. People who want and need to assert their dominance in relationships are the ones who are always in arguments over hypothetical things, creating drama at important holidays or events, or otherwise finding that very people they're supposed to love, oh my god, and cherish most receive the worst of their behavior. In order to find greater happiness, you need to see yourself as an equal to those around you. When you view yourself in a position to constantly learn from all those you know, you are no longer compensating for fearing you are beneath them. All right. Thank you all. Can anyone please go ahead with the reading?
Shall I take this forward?
Yes, sir, please.
Lean into the little joys when you find them. When we think of trying to enjoy life, it is common for our minds to jump to trying to achieve things that are huge, overwhelming highs. We think that being happy is only what happens when we are on vacation or just landed a huge bonus. This, however, is actually the opposite of happiness because it is conditional. True happiness is embracing the little joys in life, the sunrise on a warm summer morning, your cup of coffee, or an amazing book. It is being grateful not only for when big things happen, but also for the small satisfactions that you can find every day. Most people severely overthink happiness. They assume their lives have to be perfect working order for them to experience real joy. This is not so. Real joy is finding happiness where you are and how you are. Nurture positive relationships when you have them. Regardless of whether or not you are introverted or extroverted, the quality of your relationships determines the quality of your life experiences. Tons of research backs this up. We become most like the people we spend time with, and our happiness is directly correlated with not the quantity of relationships we have, but the quality of each of them. Being lonely is as much of a risk to your health as smoking. However, what most people interpret this to mean is that they should just make friends where they can find them and be close to their biological family, even if they dislike them. That is totally missing the point. Happiness is not contingent upon you forcing relationships you don't want to be in. It is, however, contingent upon you building and fostering relationships with people you really like and who add value to your life. When you meet someone with whom you really have a connection, go out of your way to make sure you see that person and keep your friendship healthy. Learn something new as often as you can. When you approach life as though you already know all there is to know, you are actually closing yourself off to potentially having new and better experiences. If you assume that you know what will happen when you try something new, or if you think you know what places you have not been to would be like, you might just want to leave some room to surprise yourself. Think of life as something you can constantly learn from. Your pain teaches you what does not feel good and what you should not continue to do. Your joy teaches you what is in alignment. Everything can be your teacher, and the more you allow your life experiences to shift and change you, the better you and they will become. Is there someone who would like to read further?
I'll take up, sir. Thank you. See challenging times as opportunities for transformation. Happy people aren't joyful all the time, and this is an important distinction to make. In fact, genuinely happy people are more at peace than they are ecstatic about everything they experience. This is because happy people are inherently coachable and changeable. They are not stuck in their ways. They understand that life requires growth. And when that growth stagnates, discomfort begins to arise. The true nature of life is constant movement and constant evolution. If you do not keep up with that, life will all but force you to change as it becomes less and less comfortable to stay where you are. You cannot avoid all pain, but you can absolutely avoid a lot of suffering by staying focused on your internal growth. Be aware of what you give your energy to. Sure, most people realize that if they work a job they dislike or stay in relationships they despise for the majority of their lives, they aren't going to feel great about it. What many don't realize, however, is that there are far more significant things that we constantly offer our energy to that create the quality of our life. Those disliked jobs and stale relationships aren't problems, they are symptoms. And at the root of all of it is where you allow your mind to run. When you give your energy to certain thoughts, they gain life. There's a saying that the wolf that wins is the one that you feed. And when it comes to quality of your life, you need to be extremely careful of what you allow yourself to think. It will soon become what you feel, then what you believe, and then how you behave, and sure enough, the way you live. Schedule time to do nothing. Happiness is an active pursuit as much as it is a passive one. Though to feel fulfilled each day is absolutely a conscious choice, it isn't going to happen by accident, for your information. The irony of really feeling good is that it's not something you can force, it's something you have to allow. Happiness is refusing to fill your schedule to the absolute brim so you can bring the most you possibly can out of every second of your life. It is also taking time to embrace the mundanity of everyday moments. It's sitting back and reading a book, talking over dinner with someone you love, or just enjoying the small things each day. Taking this time won't happen on its own. You have to plan for it. Schedule time to play. When we were kids, all we did was imagine and play. Our lives were our canvases, and we inherently understood that we could make believe absolutely anything and spend the day living it out. The same is true in adulthood, but over the course of a few decades, the world tends to have a way of beating the magic out of you. If you really want to enjoy life, you have to make time to do what you loved when you were young. Paint, play in the sand, play games you love, and be creative for the sake of it. If that all sounds childish, good. It means you are ready to reconcile with your inner child who is and always has been there all along. Enjoying life is living it out in both the simplest and most transformative ways possible. Part of that is simply letting yourself show up and be who and how you are. Becoming a master of yourselves. When you get to end of your life, you will begin to see your mountains for what they really were, gifts. When you look back on your life, you won't remember the hardships. You will see them then as pivot points, growth points, the days of awakening right before everything changed. To become a master of oneself is first to take radical and complete responsibility for your life. This includes even that which is beyond your control. A true master knows that it is not what happens, but the way one responds that determines the outcome. Not everybody gets there. Most people live barely realizing that they are creating most of the waves in their lives and that it is also their job to learn to ride them. Most people spend their days lost in a fog of their own thoughts and feelings, having little ability to sort through them. Mastery is to realize that we are equipped with the exact traits we need to overcome the mountains before us. And in fact, doing so is the ultimate calling of our lives. We are not only capable, we are destined. Mastery is to finally understand that the years of discomfort you endured were not some sort of purgatory you had to just get through. They were your deepest inner self informing you that you are capable of more, deserving of better, and meant to transform into the person of your dreams. You must claim it, you must create it. Your own healing process will create an invisible ripple effect on the collective. If we want to change the world, we change ourselves. If we want to change our lives, we change ourselves. If we want to scale the greatest mountains before us, we change how we arrive at the path. When we reach the peak of it all, whatever that may be for you, you will look back and know that every step was worth it. More than anything, you will be overwhelmingly grateful for the pain that led you to begin your journey because really it wasn't trying to hurt you as much as it was trying to show you that something was wrong. That something was the risk of your potential remaining untapped, your life spent with the wrong people, doing the wrong things and wondering why you never felt quite right. Your life is just beginning. One day, the mountain that was in front of you will be so far behind you, it will barely be visible in the distance. But who you become in learning to climb it, that will stay with you forever. This is the point of the mountain. With this, we come to the end of this book. Thank you everyone for reading today. A lot of learnings today. These are some recent learnings that even I have come to conclude to and trying to follow through. So now I open this for discussion. Let's reflect back on what we read, what this book stands for you, and how you think. What are the three things that you take away from today? Yeah, please go ahead, share your thoughts.
I loved how the chapter concluded. It's very beautiful. the book concludes. So, and I loved how their perspective on how she shared the difference between happiness and joy, like how most people who are genuinely happy are not always joyful. That was a stark learning. And one more thing that I felt, uh, in fact, I resonated with so many things in the chapter, and I also like the part where she said that you have to actually schedule time for doing nothing. So we talk about following our hobbies and things like that, but very rare people do follow that. And yes, the comparison with children also, right? How they just do nothing, and that's how they have this free time, so they can get creative and do whatever they want. So I love that part as we come to the end of the book. It was beautiful.
Yeah, thanks, Vansi, for starting off the discussions today. Yeah, anyone else to add to it?
Yeah, I will go next. Thanks, Mansi, for sharing that. Now there are courses and trainings start happening to teach people how to do nothing. So I was a little bit laughed, but yes, that is also started like yoga and meditation. Uh, yeah. So takeaway for me is really beautiful reading today, and a lot to learn actually just from today's session. This thing, the quick three takeaway from me is yes, power of now, be present in this particular moment. Second one is uh, the spotlight effect. You're considering yourself as the center of the universe, everything, taking all the responsibility on yourself, which is not true. The beauty of this book that she only not only just give the clarity that how you're thinking, which actually hampers your progress and your emotion, etc., but at the same time she give very clear cut solution as well, that what you need to do to resolve this thing, and really I'm finding this particular book really helpful in my day-to-day life. Like I'm observing last 10 or 12 days we are reading this particular book. I'm keeping my notes, and now whenever I come across situation, like yesterday there was situation, day before there was situation, office situation, all that, and how I'm actually responding to those situation differently, and I'm getting massive positive results. I'm just laughing at myself. That's why I really thanks everyone, sharing your perspective, because that really helps. Again, as author mentioned, different steps. Yes, implementation is the key here. And I love this particular book. And again, the way we connect different dots. We read this mirror book from Louis Hay. That's really helped me to connect my inner child. So yeah, so whatever we are doing here is awesome. It's really impacting my life very positively. So thanks everyone for your shares and reading. Thank you.
Yes, for me also, there were many little tiny nuggets of wisdom spreaded in the today's chapter. Uh, I especially like the line that mountains are actually the gifts, and these are the growth points. These are not the blockages. Actually, we have these are the growth points, and once we reach there, then we can know that actually each and every step was worth it. And many other what suggested was that learn something new, whatever blockages we have to overcome them. And happiness is the natural state. We need to enjoy the little joys of life. Life is simple. We need to embrace little joys. Many examples were given. So we need not to be resistant to welcome the little joys. Actually, we are stuck. Only that is the problem. Yeah, that's what I wanted to share.
Thanks, Suman, and thanks, Milanji, for sharing your points. Anybody else who would like to
I,
share
I,
how they
I
felt?
have
Yeah, Manjunath.
one point to note. So like I really like the author how the author ended the book by saying like do nothing. So like after reading the book and do nothing. So like that was like, and also I resonate on what was discussed in the last 30 minutes. So like what I found is like you will not remember the easy day like you had, but like you will remember the most challenging day where you are pushed to the edge, and like how did you overcome that, and how did you solve that, or how did you not back down, like in spite of the challenging situation. I think people will remember that more than the easy day where they watch Netflix entire day. I think, I think looking back, I think at least I look the most challenging days as like to take a little bit motivation and as well as and to do more to remind myself that things always are possible. And also there is one quote I resonate with, like when you are not sure whether the thing is possible or not, it is always okay. It is better to err in the side of taking thinking that it is possible. Yeah. So, not exact words, but like yeah. Hello, hello,
Yeah,
hello.
yeah, thanks,
Yeah.
Manjunath. Anything else you would like to add?
No, that's all.
Okay, thank you. Uh, Anybody else? Okay. So, so far this book, I think, though the way certain things are new, yes, definitely the perspectives which the author has brought is different, unique in certain areas. But most of the text, if you see, is what we already know. But this text is present in a better way, a better digestible way, a better way of looking at it, and the way it is written is simple, without much of jargons, and relatable as well. Not too many examples though, but you know the important points are repeated also. And the gradual flow of the book from the start to end is I found that very interesting. That gradually she takes us on a journey kind of thing. So as we come conclude on this book today, I feel it's more of the spiritual philosophies that we have understood so far, due to our our texts and the exposures to our historical texts and the way we have been learning about these things, that what is within your control, what is beyond, leave it. Let the other people, which is the way they behave is beyond your control, so let them be. uh, Focus on what has to be done, focus on the process, don't attach yourself to the outcomes, and don't look for a change outside, make it inside. So these key things have been also highlighted in this book. uh, Today what I specifically liked is uh, the way she talked about resistance, which is very important. I think she has stressed it a couple of times. The way we are resisting to whatever is happening is the first reason for us to face discomfort or unease or whatever unhappiness. Second is second point that comes to mind is a person, a very I heard a speech where the person was saying most of your energy that you lose is just by thinking. If you just look at what you outcomes you have to achieve, work on that, and that work will not actually that will actually not make you feel tired. It will energize you to further work. The chattering in the brain or the mind is what actually loses a lot of energy than what we think it does. So let's not worry constantly. Let's give us evidences from the past that we have overcome a lot of challenges. The other day, I had given the example of COVID, which was very, very unique, and I would say nobody had anticipated. No such things had happened, and it was such a different situation, but yet we could come out and we could flourish after that as well. So we have to keep giving ourselves instances instead of thinking in very different polarities, either this pole or that pole. Instead of that, let's hit a balance and see to it what can be done. I also like the point of talk it out. So the reason that we actually uh, we actually think that this human connection, communication is not important, but this again brings back us to the point that how important it is, how important and basic a need it fulfills for us. See, when you look into a person and look and be with a person and share your exchange your ideas or whatever, the way your body responds and the other person's, the emotions that flow, the emotions that get released is quite different than how I think today, if I'm talking to you all on this online Zoom, is quite different, right? We feel the exchange, we feel the weather on our skin as well as the way the other person is interacting, we react to it as well. So that is not a small thing for us to let go. Let's cherish that. Let's keep connecting, however which ways we can with the today's busy world. But keep connecting, keep talking to people, talk to families, talk to yourself, journal a lot. Basically, express. By expressing, you either convert your experiences into ideas or give words to your issues, your problems, or at least try and understand yourself as to what is happening. So I think that was the very, very important and basic thing I think we can all work on. Second is happiness. Are we pursuing it or are we just allowing ourselves to catch hold of it as and when it comes? Is again a thing which we need to keep in mind. Yes, life is a teacher and it is here for us to teach. So here we are here all to learn and go ahead learning whatever imperfect way we can learn, and yet we continue to thrive, right? So thanks everyone for your time for this book. It has been a good read just because of the participation and continued support that you all have given. So thank you for that. Yeah. Anyone else wants to say anything? Okay. So now as we conclude, what do we do next? So what I have thought is we have thought of another book, but the way we are going to read it is quite a different. So now we have concluded on something which talks of emotion, the mindset, the attitude, the behavior, and the habits. We are thinking of taking next book on attitude only, just further extension to what this book ends on. We'll be doing this as a self-paced reading, means this book will be read by each one of us at whatever pace we want at our homes, at our times, and at whatever convenient pace we want to do it. We'll have a Friday, each Friday we will have a 1 hour session where we will be exchanging whatever we are our key learnings. If there are any doubts, there are any hiccups, there are some kind of things which are not you are not able to understand, those things we can discuss in every Friday that we catch up. Now, for this, we need at least 10 people who are interested to undergo this activity with this book, and we will be doing the Friday meets for upcoming 3 Fridays. If we agree on this book and we get enough people to join for this. So this is also because of the way the book is written and the need for deeper introspection before anything fruitful from this book can be taken back. So you have to read it, understand it, apply it, and then is when this book will be helpful for each one of us. From that perspective, we have thought of having this kind of arrangement for this book specifically. Yeah. Any doubts, any questions anyone has?
Friday on which time, Selvi?
Same time.
Okay. Okay.
So I'll be sending a message and I'll also share the PDF of the book and y'all can have a look and decide how to go forward on this. Yeah. So thanks everyone again for your time and patient hearing. Yeah. So so all the best and keep learning and keep implementing. Grow wiser and happier every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Thank
Mani
you,
Selvi.
thank you,
Thank
Anselvi.
you,
It was
Maniselvi.
wonderful
Thank you,
book. Thank
everyone.
you for choosing and taking us through it. It was wonderful.